It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another Real Estate Breakfast podcast as we talk your property news and information from Cairns to Perth. And good morning to wherever you might be listening to us this morning. Perhaps you're driving in the car, you might be in the gym, you might be out walking around your local suburb, dreaming of that upgrade, that next property. Always a nice way to sort out a local suburb. You just drive to one, get out, and then just start walking. And good morning to Trey and Denise in Melbourne. Hey, thanks for taking the time to email us. You say that you're hoping to buy your first property this year. You're saving like crazy with 2.5 jobs between you. And you've been saving for, well, this is the interesting part. Well done, only 2 years. And if you're planning on buying a property this year, that is extraordinary. You are the unicorns when it comes to saving for a deposit. And thanks for taking the time to let us know. You too, let us know what your property journey is looking like. Our email address is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Well, it is a Thursday morning. Home buyers in Australia, now they're facing hefty stamp duty costs as property prices rise again. In Sydney, the typical house now attracts around $75,000 in stamp duty, and Melbourne costing around $57,000. Economists are arguing this upfront tax discourages people from moving and suggests replacing it with a broad-based land tax, though it would need federal support to ease the transition. And we'll talk about this in just a moment. Let's catch up with Joseph Fairchild. He is a director at Metro Realty in Sydney. And good morning to you, Joseph. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. What do you think there from the email coming in from Trey and Denise? Just 2 years of saving, and they're hoping to buy their property this year. That ain't bad, is it?
That's fantastic. Well done. If you've saved up a deposit and it's only taken you 2 years, that's fantastic. It does take a very long time now to save up a deposit. House prices as a median are about the 1.7 million. It's not affordable for everyone, but you must have very high and well-paying jobs.
Now, we're talking about the land tax just there a moment ago. Property prices keep climbing, but first home buyers now face higher stamp duties, even under government schemes. If land tax could lower prices by 4%, as modelling shows, why do you think that there isn't more political will to make the switch and make it happen?
In New South Wales, it was called the First Home Buyer Choice, which allowed first home buyers only to buy a property and not pay the stamp duty upfront. They were paying it through the ownership of the property over the years. And however many years you'd own it, you'd pay it. And that was called the First Home Buyer Choice. So that was a property tax. It didn't run for very long. So it's now no longer available. We did trial that for a while. It was a very short stint. In my opinion, I think that it should work. It would allow for more transactions to happen. It lowers the barrier to entry.
You are transacting quite a bit with first home buyers because you're in the Sydney CBD. You're in that market of strata, or dealing with strata. A lot of people are just having to take that on because of the units being much cheaper. Tell us a little bit about some of the difficulties that you're observing in the strata market, because it isn't travelling that well at the moment, is it?
No, it's not going too well. Since the beginning of COVID, really, we haven't seen large increases in property values of strata units in the city and city surrounds, as opposed to house and land. House and land has been doing very, very well. It's been growing in value, whereas strata units have not really. And there's a lot of expense in holding a strata unit. Even if it's a one bedroom or an average two bedroom, you're paying at least, say, $1,500, $2,000 per quarter strata. There are some that you've got to pay $3,000 per quarter. So if you're an investor, for example, not a first home buyer, but an investor looking to buy, you've got to factor in what your expenses are. And there are a lot of problems with strata so far as a lot of water leaks, building issues that come up all the time. So there's a lot of defects that strata as a collective are having to pay for, and it's very expensive. And where are you going to get that from? If you're receiving a rent for it, well, then that lowers your rate of return. If you are living in it as an owner-occupier, well, you just got to have a bit of an emergency fund.
Okay, so perhaps just tell our audience, there will be first home buyers that will be listening to what you're saying. What is the number one thing that people want to know when they're asking you, oh, this is a strata property, how much money am I up for? What falls underneath that? Obviously, the maintenance that you're talking about. We, in fact, had this issue, I think it was towards the end of last year. We were talking to somebody that told the story where somebody had bought this unit and then just below them was a gym. All the noise that was coming from the gym, really big nightmare for them. So there's a lot to consider, even when it comes to what is living below you and above you.
You've got to do your due diligence when you're looking at buying. You've got to do what's called a strata report. That strata report will generally come up with a lot of issues, and there's not one strata report that has no issues. Every strata has issues. So you've got to see that strata report. You've got to read through it. You've got to make sure that there's no issues that you're going to foresee with your particular unit. So if there was a gym on the bottom level, good gosh, make sure you're on level 10 or above. If you're facing a certain direction that you've got a lot of highway traffic and it's very noisy, hey, try to buy on the other side of the building that does not face that. Being a first home buyer, you've got to learn a lot. You've got to educate yourself. There's a lot in the process, but you do have professionals that do assist you with that process. Of all agents in, let's just say, Sydney, most of them are vendors agents, but there are buyers agents who assist buyers in buying property, and they should know how to advise. They might be on a retainer, they might be on a success fee, whatever their structure is. They are there to help you as a first home buyer.
All right, we'll leave it there. Good on you, Joseph. Thanks for those insights into what is happening in the CBD of Sydney at the moment. Strata is what you're working with, so you're dealing with that market directly. And thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Thank you.
Decode the property market with insider knowledge and insights to better navigate your real estate journey. It's the Real Estate Podcast, talking properties from 6 a.m. every day from every corner of the Australian real estate market.
Well, let's move our attention from strata there in Sydney and move off to the UAE, because we do check in on Dubai from time to time because so many Aussies are calling Dubai home. And you might have heard him before. We talked to Mario Volpe. He's an expert in the market. He has noticed that the Aussies are moving in. And Mario, I can't believe I'm actually going to ask you this question because I already know the answer. Is it a good time to buy property in Dubai?
Yeah, so I still maintain that yes, what goes up has to come down. And of course, this is actually going to happen. But the real question is when. So clearly we can see that real estate prices cannot just continue to rise forever. Even though Dubai's real estate market has seen sustained growth since 2021, we have to look at the future with caution and pay close attention to what's going on locally and internationally. We know that Dubai attracts investors from around the world, and obviously this trend will continue, but it's other aspects I'm looking at, and that's the growth of the residing population.
Well, we should have a look at that as far as the population is concerned, because if I've got the numbers right, Dubai's population is currently around 3.8 million. That is following an increase of approximately 160,000 new residents by the end of last year. Have I got those numbers right, Mario?
Yeah, you have. And that's exactly my point, that whilst Dubai attracts the investors globally from their countries where they're at, it's people living here who are now looking at buying as well, because many are deciding, for example, not to rent any longer. They're switching to buying instead. And the reason for this are obviously many. I mean, we've talked about them before, the changes of the visas, the positive working conditions, the government constantly making improvements, upgrades to the infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Now, all of these make it very easy to attract individuals to put down strong roots in the Emirates to buy a home. So to answer your question, is now still a good time to buy? Well, despite the price rises, yes, especially for the end user. Now, if the buyer is an investor looking to sell on quickly, this may take a little while longer. But if the investor is wanting to rent the property, this will be a good move because the return on investment from renting is one of the best in the world. And also, of course, you get the capital appreciation, which we've seen since 2021. That seems to be continuing to rise.
Yep, and it will just continue to rise as people make Dubai and the UAE their home. Now let's come to you, Olga, because for years, big institutional investors like pension funds and private equity firms haven't really been that interested in investing in Dubai, but there is a little bit of a change at hand at the moment. So perhaps tell us a little bit about what is going on in that area.
Well, previously Dubai has been seen indeed as a luxury playground and not a serious place for real estate investment from the institutional investor standpoint. But that's changed as Dubai has evolved into a stable, tech-driven economy with a real estate market that's attracting major players from the US, Europe, and Asia. And about 90% of investors in Dubai luxury real estate funds are institutional and typically investing $10 to $50 million each. And 80% of that total are international.
Yeah, so what is actually going on? Why has that changed?
So institutional investors looking for real estate opportunities seek a good risk-return profile. And that means that markets that are economically and politically stable with reliable governance and processes and that show good growth prospects. And Dubai offers that. And second, the real estate market has matured as well. It's no longer just about flashy towers. We're actually seeing well-planned communities, logistics hubs, and mixed-use developments that generate steady income. But I think the most important to institutional investors is actually having a reliable rule of law. And both DIFC and ADGM, those are the financial centers in Dubai, operate under international legal standards, which makes big investors feel secure. There are challenges as well, such as fluctuating interest rates, rising construction costs, and market cycles, but the potential returns still outweigh the risks.
We help to break down real estate every day to help you better understand the Australian property market.
2-3 years ago, I was selling units for $200,000. And now those same units, which are older 1970s strata units, are now exchanging hands at $450,000. So percentage-wise, you're 100% up.
Just coming back to the AUKUS deal, I mean, how much nervousness have you heard because of all the shenanigans coming out of the White House and with Trump trying to blow up the world economy, it seems? Is there much feedback that you're getting, nervousness from people?
Yes and no. I mean, I think everybody, before the change in the American administration, everybody was far more comfortable with, the trajectory that we were on and when it would be happening. Right now, I think there probably is a bit of, nervous energy. Everybody is very confident that AUKUS is happening and will still be happening, and there's nobody saying anything to the contrary at this stage.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.